Hi, Dan Thies back again for Link Liberation 3, Week 3, Practice Module number 1. This is video number 3, the plumbing. So what the heck is RSS? Well, really simple syndication is the most popular way to turn that acronym into words, although there have been others in the past. If you want to understand RSS and its history, you can just read the Wikipedia entry on it. What RSS means to us is plumbing. RSS is a way for us to connect different sources of information together and route that information in useful ways that allow us to manage our workflows. In particular, one of the coolest things that we can do with RSS, and delicious, is that it allows us to initiate workflows and have work started and things happen farther down the line simply by pushing a button and putting a tag on something. Now, for this to work, we have to have two pieces in place. We need to have a bookmark tagging tool, which we're using Delicious for that in these videos, and you can use Digo or Pinboard or others if you can find one. We also need to have an RSS reader application that allows us to subscribe to RSS feeds and read them. No problem, there's a really good free one that you can get from Google called Google Reader. If you just go to www.google.com/reader, you can use Reader in your browser, but also just about every RSS app that you'll find on Android or desktop, Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, you name it. Almost every RSS app in the world now syncs with Google Reader. So you can use Google Reader as a single place to manage all of your RSS feed subscriptions and then read them with a bewildering variety of different apps. So, yes, there are other ways to do it, but look, just give up, surrender to the Borg, and get a Google account. Now, you can use any Google account with Google Reader. So if you've already got a Gmail or whatever that you use, you can just use that if you like. Nobody's ever going to see what's in your Google Reader stuff but you and the people that you share that with. But if you use Google Apps for Business, I would not recommend trying to use Google Reader or preferably any other Google service with the email address that's associated with your Google Apps for Business account. Long story, but a lot of stuff breaks when you're actually paying Google that works just fine if you're one of the free customers that's supported by advertising. As far as I know, Google Reader works just fine for now with Google Apps for Business accounts, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work right forever. Now, we will use Google Reader to subscribe to and manage subscriptions for our RSS feeds from lots of different sites that are producing stories that we like, the sources. So if you're on a website that has lots of good stories, and blogs are pretty much always going to have an RSS feed, there are lots of ways for you to figure out and find the RSS feeds that they might have and subscribe to them. Google, in Chrome, their web browser, not to be confused with Chrome the operating system or Chrome the whatever else they have called Chrome, they have something called the RSS subscription extension. So if you just go in Chrome and go to the add more extensions, you can add the RSS subscription extension. You can also just Google for it, and that'll get you to a page where you can install it in Chrome. And that will create a little RSS beacon button in the address bar that allows you to select from any RSS feeds that are present on the site. And then you can subscribe to those directly in Google Reader. Now, Firefox used to be cool and have a little RSS icon like that in the address bar all the time, but at some point they decided that that just wasn't important because only some small percentage, like 3 or 4% of users were using it. People like me and you, probably. So now they've hidden that capability under the bookmarks menu, but it's still there. So on any website that has RSS feeds, you can go to bookmarks in the bookmarks menu to subscribe to this page, and it will show you a list of feeds that are available from that page or from that site. Sadly, it's a little bit of an annoying way to work with the thing if you're used to having a button right there, but I think we can all remember when Firefox was awesome, and none of us are quite sure exactly when they decided to suck. But right now, what I use for this kind of work is Chrome. And you can also, just on the Google Reader website, subscribe to things by hand. You can find the little orange RSS button, or other places you'll find the RSS feed, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute here. Just right-click and copy the location of the link, and then go to Google Reader, click the subscribe button, paste the link in there, and click add, and that'll be subscribed to in your Google Reader. Now, most sites that are publishing lots of content will make it really freaking obvious how you can subscribe to them by RSS because they're smart enough to know that that's important. You'll usually find that orange button. Sometimes it'll be bigger, sometimes it'll be smaller. You can also just do a find on the page for words like RSS, feed, or subscribe. And a lot of them will have those social boxes that have buttons for dig and whatever and a million different social bookmarking services you've never heard of. But a lot of them will also have a button in there for Google Reader that you can use. If that doesn't work, you can also actually go into the source code and you can see here on the screen, you can go to view source in some browsers, other it's control U or command U, depending on whether you're Mac or Windows. And you'll see things like link rel equals alternate, and it'll say applications less RSS plus XML. That's an RSS feed. And then href equals, and that'll actually be the link. And in Firefox, you can just right click on that, grab the link location, and go back and add it by hand to Google Reader. You shouldn't have to do this very often, and if you don't feel up to it, that's okay. There are plenty of sources of stories that don't make you jump through so many hoops. But the link collector, the link collection process, is really all about collecting RSS feeds. All those stories and sources that you have tagged in Delicious, you can go back into Delicious and then you can go look at them and actually look for RSS feeds on them. Any good source, any place where we're going to be able to get more stories because they're going to continue to publish more stories over time, we want to get that RSS feed and we want to subscribe to it in Reader. And hey, sometimes a good source has no feed. I know that that is utterly and pathetically lame. The thing that I do for now is just tag those with a tag like keepers, which means that it's a website that you're going to be able to get good stuff from and move on. I'll actually show you in just a minute how you can actually fake an RSS feed out of them by using Google Alerts. The end result, once you've gone through all of those stories and identified the ones that are good sources and subscribed to the RSS feeds, is that you should now be subscribed to a whole bunch of RSS feeds that are going to, more often than not, have good stories in them. Now, there are some special cases. So if you're looking at a YouTube search result page, it has an RSS feed button on it. If you're using the RSS subscription extension or if you're going under the bookmarks menu in Firefox, but it's actually a lot easier to just craft your own. It's youtube.com/RSS/search and then just the keyword. So if it's dog training, you do dog plus training and then .rss. So word1 plus word2.rss. And you can subscribe to that and that'll give you a list of new videos in your Google Reader. Delicious has RSS feeds, so you just go to delicious.com/v2/RSS/the username and then /the tag, so /nicebloggy/story. Google search results have Google alerts that you can use, and I'll show you how to use that in just a minute, so that you can pull RSS feeds out of search results and constantly be getting fresh results from those searches. So if you found good stories by doing a search, you'll be able to create a Google alert, turn that into a feed in Google Reader, and get more stories that are coming up for the same keywords. You definitely want to subscribe to feeds from any useful search results that you find on YouTube or Google because those become great sources of news stories, in particular stories that other people might not know about, those little gems, new sources that will be useful, and new stories that people won't already have heard of that adds to your value in the social space. Finally, in Delicious, you can subscribe to the Delicious feeds for all of your tags, and you definitely want to do that using the format that you see here on the screen. So you can actually get RSS feeds out of Google, and you do that by using Google Alerts. Now, folks that have used Google Alerts before, you may not actually be aware that you can get RSS feeds out of them. That's because once upon a time, when people started using Google Alerts, when it rolled out, the only thing you could do is get emails. But that's so old school. In fact, it's too old school for us. So we want to get RSS feeds delivered to Google Reader from our Google Alerts. You can see here that I have a couple set up. One is just for dog training, and I want to get only the best results and from all different web search, blog search, and all that kind of stuff, and I want to get those as it happens. I also have, because Animal Planet, which is a television network that is owned by the Discovery Channel and also has lots of good stories, does not have RSS feeds that I could find. So to get something instead, what I do is site:/animal.discovery.com, that's the site's domain, and then in URL dog. And that will give me any page that gets added to that site that has dog in the URL, which will include all of the ones that are in their dog training site. Here's how you set up a Google Alert if you haven't seen it before. So you just go to google.com/alerts, sign in, and again, you can use the same Google account that you're using for Reader. In fact, it's smarter to do it that way. Type in any search query, select the result type. Now you can do news search, you can do blog search, you can do web search, but normally I just use everything. How often? As it happens. You can also have it done once a day and stuff like that. How many? You can do all results or only the best results. And most of the time you want to do only the best results. But when you're using a site search, you want to use all results because the best results are going to skip a lot of stuff. And then you want to have it delivered to a feed. Then you create the alert, you go to Manage Your Alerts, and you can see the screen we were just looking at where you can add it to Google Reader. Over time, between all this stuff put together, you'll have RSS feeds going into your reader of just about anybody that's regularly publishing, all of the big properties, all the big players in the space that are regularly publishing stories, and you can use them as sources. All of the search alerts that you use, the Google alerts that you use, will enable you to find new stories and new sources. So you might find that there's a blogger who only blogs about every 3 months, but what they write is really killer and you want to share it. And you find that through using Google Alerts. So what's next? Well, let's go and look at the actual routine that I use to actually put all this stuff in motion and make it all work with Delicious and RSS Reader and Buffer.